Hi everyone, my name's Lyn Bennetts. You may remember me, I was the lady that pulled on transport blockades here at the Albury-Wodonga border in 2000, and we went down to Melbourne and blocked the fuel depots because the price of fuel had gone up from 68 cents to $1.02 overnight. We then went on to organise all the blockades at 11 sites all around Australia, and we managed to finally get the diesel fuel rebate for the interstate transport industry, and we got the $70 million grant from Anthony Albanese that installed all of the hard stand roadside rest stop areas that you'll see all up and down the nation's highways. And so that's what we did with the transport industry under Australian Long Distance Owners and Drivers Association, ALDODA. I had a truck that ended up parked on top of the Gateway Bridge at the beginning of our protests in 2008, and they wanted to put me in jail for 10 years for blocking the highway on the Gateway Bridge. I had a solicitor who said that I was definitely going to go to jail, and so I sacked him. And he said, well, what are you going to do now? And I said, I'll represent myself. I then, over the years, had been studying our laws, our constitutional laws especially, because I flew to Sydney to do a common law course through Malcolm McClure, and he taught me as much as he could on that weekend about the Constitution, and I was flabbergasted that we had a corporate government at the helm running our country. This corporate government is registered in Washington DC and is not our actual government. They have changed our constitution without our permission of the people, and I had to learn all of those laws. And here I was facing the court on my own, knowing the little amount that I knew about the Constitution, but the judge decided that she was going to just fine me, to which I objected, in which case Malcolm said, if in doubt, always object, and then if you are fined or put into prison, make sure you end up in the High Court, because the High Courts of Australia are the only courts in this country that recognise our Constitution. So when she fined me and I objected, I then said that I was going to go to the High Court, and I won my case. Ever since then I've been studying the Constitution, and we pulled on a march in every state and territory in Australia, and we issued to the government and the High Court at that time a moratorium. And that moratorium was to put our Constitution back into the Parliament where it belonged, and we also demanded that the Section 44I was implemented to remove corrupt politicians from Parliament. That Section 44I holds within it the reason why we can actually remove all of our politicians from Parliament. The other thing that we demanded was referendums of the people, for the people, by the people, to upgrade our Constitution. You might remember that in 2015 we managed, the government were going rampant in Parliament sacking all of these ministers because they weren't under Section 44I, they weren't meant to be in Parliament. Unfortunately, it didn't go far enough. But that was in 2015 when we pulled on those marches. You may remember some of us. We had big flags made up to restore our Constitution, and that's what leads me here today. Our Constitution holds within it embedded laws that cannot be changed. It can only be altered under Section 128 of our Constitution. Those laws are embedded, and they were put there by our founding fathers so that we would never be up against a corrupt government. How unfortunately, with all of their efforts, the government have decided to go offhand, and they have duplicated our laws and made them into their own laws under the Commonwealth of Australia in all capital letters, that have taken away our rights, liberties and freedoms. At the moment, I am putting together a moratorium, a lawful sanctioned moratorium, in which case we will be able to remove all of the government, the ministers, the premiers and the local council members. We have had 44 referendums in Australia. Only 8 of those have passed. So this lawful moratorium will actually remove all of our ministers from Parliament, including Scott Morrison, and our Constitution also states under Section 109 that Dan Andrews had no rights to get that bill passed. I was supposed to be there today, but I have decided to send it out to other constitutionalists that I know and in all of the different states. So when we finally bring this about, we will be able to remove all of the premiers, all of the ministers, Scott Morrison and all of the ministers from our parliaments, and we will be arresting them. We will be sending them to the unvaxxed camps where they intended to house us, and it's all lawful. We can't do without it. The Crimes Act 1914 clearly states that anyone has the right and the power to arrest anyone that is doing wrong by the Commonwealth. And we intend to implement it. So if you can be here next weekend, then that's when we will be issuing that moratorium. Thank you. Have a good day.